Both the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins had exciting come-from-behind wins in their Week 1 matchup, and now they will face off in the Week 2 Thursday Night Football game to kind of take an early control over the AFC East. It's going to be a lot of fun, but Ryan and I, we're going to break down the game, the matchups to watch, and then also at the very end give our final predictions. But before we get into that, if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the Tracy Take, and while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win. We nearly got 100 subscribers during the entire NFL Week 1 preview. So if we could break 100 this week, that would be amazing, and any help is greatly appreciated. Let's get into the game here now. So let's kind of quickly recap the what we saw from the Bills and the Dolphins. I will say slow start for both teams in their Week 1 matchup. Both got behind. The Bills came back. They did end up being the better team against, I would say, an up-and-coming Cardinals team who I think a lot of people shouldn't sleep on. The Dolphins definitely got off to a slow start. And what a crazy day, too, with Tyreek Hill getting arrested on his way over to the game. It was wild. I'm glad he was able to play, except I was playing him in my fantasy. So that was a little unfortunate for that 80-yard touchdown. But in general, though, the Jacksonville had control of the game, and then it was that fumble on the 1-yard line by Travis Etienne, and then literally the next play, because the ball went out of the end zone, that's when Tyreek Hill got the touchdown. That was just the momentum shift, and it was a good grinded-out win. I think Week 1 matchups might almost be the toughest because I think a lot of people are rusty, especially, too, if a lot of people don't play in the preseason. Ryan, what are your kind of overall thoughts from what you saw from both the Bills and also the Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it, slow starts. One of the things I noticed with the Bills was that Josh Allen had to play a lot of hero ball. It looked like after the slow start, he kind of just took over the game and was running and like scrambling and throwing the ball down the field. Khalil Shakir seemed to have had a good game. And so all in all, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this Bills offense evolves as season goes on, but it seemed a little tough for them to move the ball today against the Arizona defense. And I would actually say like the Dolphins looked rough on offense as well. They struggled to run the ball. They defensively didn't look good in the first half of the game, giving up 17 points and then ended up being able to hold them, even though like I think they got lucky in a couple occasions, especially with like the Travis Etienne fumble on the 1-yard line. Like they should have given up more points than they did. And I think there's cause for concern in the Dolphins camp because they couldn't really protect Tua. Receivers were taking longer to get open than they felt like it was last year. And we haven't really had time to go through and kind of see like the analytics of the game, but it just looked like a clunkier day from the Miami Dolphins offense.
Well, and that's what I'll chalk it up to Week 1. Now, if this was Week 7, then I would maybe be a little more concerned. But Week 1 for both his teams, they did come off to a slow start. Josh Allen, I think too. I'll say I'll agree somewhat, but I also think too that's just going to be the style of play that the Bills play this year. The Bills had 352 yards of total offense, 222 passing, 130 on the ground. And Cook had 71 yards, and Josh Allen, let me look it up here real quick. Well, he probably had about 40 or 50 with 2 rushing touchdowns. Miami on the flip side threw for 319 yards, 81 rushing yards. Did allow 3 sacks, so we'd like to lower that down a little bit. I mean, no sacks is perfect, but also, too, you're going up against the other Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. So, I think it's Week 1, I will say, as much as the defense also got a slow start for Miami against Jacksonville, they did a great job holding them to 17 points overall, even if they did get a little lucky. But sometimes you need a little bit of luck, to win some of these games. So let's quickly kind of transition then to this matchup here. But before we get into that, if you do like to put a couple of bucks down on the game while you're watching, you find it a little more enjoyable, check out the link down below in the description for the BetUS access. They have a couple of great promotions going on right now for first-time players that you're not going to want to miss here. And odds are still going to be kind of coming out here. I'm curious to see how the odds change throughout the week. But as of right now, from what I have seen, looks like Miami is a very slight favorite, looks like 1-point favorite. So pretty much just a pick 'em here. And to me, I personally think it's going to be interesting to see how the Dolphins kind of end up slowing down Josh Allen and this run game, because they did give up 128 yards to Travis Etienne and the Jaguars today. maybe it's still that week one, kind of rust coming off a little bit. They did hold them to just 267 yards totals of team offense, 139 passing yards of team offense here as well. And it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of say because I would say the Jags probably have more of a stud set receiving room compared to the Bills now. I mean, I really like what I saw from Khalil Shakur over the past couple of years. Dalton Kincaid's going to be improving into that star tight end. Keon Coleman, I think, can be a star as well, but still not like game breaker, so to say. The Bills' offense is going to be set through the run, through James Cook, which they can get established, and also then through Josh Allen as well. And if the Bills can get that established, I think it's going to be a long day for the Dolphins. That being said, though, too, they still have Tyreek Hill and they have Jalen Waddle. And as we saw today, it takes one it takes one busted coverage for the Dolphins to put up 7 points.
Yeah.
And so what are some other matchups that you think are going to be important to watch for both teams going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, it's going to be, can this Dolphins defense maintain consistent coverage on these receivers and force the Bills to be a running team? Because I think even today, or the week one matchup showed, the Bills still want to be as balanced as they can, and they struggle to run the ball today. So it might take some time for that downhill running game to kind of kick into gear. And so I think just watching the Dolphins secondary with
the Bills did struggle to run the game. The Bills did struggle to run today.
They struggled to run the ball initially, and then that's when Josh Allen kind of took over and played hero ball. From what I was able to see.
Yeah, I can see that it was a slow start in general for the whole Bills team.
Yeah.
I think in the second half, though, they started picking up more James Cook. Kind of run downhill, and so they can continue that second half trend. Because I see what you're saying now. They can continue that second half trend and start the game off that way. Then I think it can be a tough matchup for the Dolphins.
Yeah, because I think if they can win and keep the wide receivers in check, then I think that is when they can be more aggressive in the box and then really kind of shut down this Bills team, keep Josh Allen in the pocket, and that's going to be a big thing for them, staying in their rushing lanes. And for the Dolphins, I think they want to make this a total shootout. They have the better weapons coming into this matchup, and if they can just make this a track meet, that's how the Dolphins are going to win. And so I will say the Bills have kind of had the Dolphins number in recent matchups. So look at last year going into, I believe they played in like week 3 or 4, and the Dolphins are coming in hot after putting up like 70 on the Broncos. They just beat the Patriots by 2 scores, and they had the 30-point win against the Chargers. And the Bills kind of put an end to all the shenanigans that Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins were kind of showing. So I think it could be that also was in Orchard Park, and this is in Miami, but I think that is going to kind of be a similar thing. I just think the Bills are going to be probably a little too good of a team for the Dolphins right now.
Well, so the Bills have won the past 4 matchups here, going back to December 2022, which was that crazy snow game. And so, but actually, if you go back, they've only lost once to Miami, going all the way back to 2018, which is kind of wild. And that's why I think Dolphins can absolutely win this game. It's going to be early on in the season. What's going to be interesting to see is the Bills kind of, they played like the opposite, I feel, of what they played today. Like with Kyler Murray being the scrambler and how great of a running team Arizona is, like they really had to make sure that they can contain the edges and keep everything in front of them, just because of how much speed they have in the backfield. Now they're going to have a lot of speed, in the backfield with Devon Achane, yes, but also with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as well. It's going to be a more full test of that secondary. I think that they'll be able to do it. I'm going to pick Buffalo in this one, in a fun one. But I think that they're going to be able to keep the score a little bit lower, because if it gets like 31-28, that's where I start to favor Miami, to your point. They're going to have the weapon. So I'm going to go with Buffalo here. I'm going to go with 24-17.
Yeah. Oh no, I think this is going to be a good matchup. These teams have seen each other a ton, being in the same division, so they kind of know what each other are going to want to do. I am curious to see the loss of personnel on the Bills side. How does that change this defense? You look, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Who's the middle linebacker that they lost to injury?
Matt Milano.
Yeah, Matt Milano. as well. Leonard Floyd was one of their sack leaders last year, and so like, how does the personnel turnover affect this Bills defense going into this matchup? Because they've been kind of able to contain them using those players lately. So
yeah. So it's going to be, and you're picking the Bills, right?
Yeah, I am picking the Bills. Yeah. So
okay.
Let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. We're both taking the Bills on Thursday Night Football. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're at it, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Buffalo Bills? Will it be the Miami Dolphins? And on that, we'll see you guys next time.